Let me ask you a question. Have you ever spent hours planning a great lesson and still some of those students ignored it? Yeah, me too. Most of our teacher prep courses that we learned in college focused on content and lesson planning. But one of the most important skills in education is something that teachers have to learn the hard way, and that's building relationships with students. Welcome back to CWM University, and today we're going to learn about how strong relationships can transform your classroom, improve behavior, increase engagement, and honestly, make your job a whole lot easier. And if you're a new teacher or you're struggling to connect with your students, this video is for you, because no significant learning can occur without a significant relationship. This quote helped me change the way I looked at teaching and how I need to adjust my practices to make sure that my students had the skills they needed to actually learn in my class. Before students can learn, they have to feel safe. Let's take a look at Maslow's Hierarchy pyramid and see how that relates to what happens in your classroom. So the first layer says about their needs: food, water, shelter, clothing, sleep. The students, one, need to have those basic needs met before they try to learn. So one thing I would do in my classroom, I would keep snacks. And the kids knew I had snacks. So somebody would say they was hungry, I'll give them some crackers, bag of chips, make sure they don't have any allergies to it, and I'll give it to them. That's something I did out of my pocket because I can't focus when I'm hungry. I'm a whole different person when I'm hungry. So just imagine being 10 or 14 or 17 trying to learn and you're hungry. Maybe you didn't get to school early enough to get school breakfast. Or maybe you have to pay for breakfast and your parents don't have the money today. So now you're hungry, you're sitting in the first period hungry, and you want them to learn about fractions? Yeah, that's not happening. The next step up is safety and security. Does the student feel safe in your room? Have you built a classroom environment where the students feel safe? Is your classroom predictable? Can they predict what's going on? They know we do our bell ringer, then we'll have whole group instruction, and then we do independent practice, and then we do our exit ticket. This is something I know when I come in this classroom, we're going boom, 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 boom. Is it predictable? When the environments are predictable, students are more than likely to feel safer there because they can predict what's going on. There's not surprises. So do students feel safe in your room? If I go somewhere and I don't feel safe, I'm constantly watching the door, watching behind me, watching how people behave. If I don't feel safe, I cannot focus on anything else but my safety. So do the students feel safe in your classroom? The next step says love and belonging. So friendship, family, sense of connection. Do the students feel like they belong in your classroom? People feel like they're safe, they can be themselves. It's a no bully zone. Do they feel that it's okay to be themselves, to ask a question and not get laughed at by their classmates, or ask you a question and you don't fuss at them because you think it's a ridiculous question? How do you make the students feel safe so that they feel that they belong in your classroom? Then the next level is self-esteem, confidence, achievement, respect of others. Do those students have self-esteem? Now, granted, a lot of times, especially if you teach middle school, students' self-esteem could be low. They're going through puberty. So they come with a lot of emotions, a lot of up and downs, a lot of moods. But what are some little things that you do to help the students feel self-confidence? Oh, good job, or I'm proud of you because you did better this time, or you must have studied. I see that grade, just encourage them. Or, oh, I like your outfit today, or those shoes are fire. Hair today, I like how you decided to put it in 2 ponytails. Or I like your haircut. Noticing the little things about your students and commenting on them and truly meaning that compliment makes a lot of difference. And it helps with the students' self-esteem in your classroom. Are you celebrating these small things? And then finally, there's self-actualization, which the students may or may not reach this in your classroom, but do they have that confidence now to believe they can do it themselves? I want to be successful for me, not for my teacher, not for my parents. I want to be successful for me. So just keep in mind that sometimes when students are not paying attention to your lesson, It's probably not about you. There could be things going on at home that's out of their control, but it affects them. You can't wonder why the students are not focused on fractions when they didn't get good sleep last night because people were in their house going in and out the door all night. And then nobody cooked breakfast. Nobody made sure they ate. So now they're sleepy and they're hungry. How do you feel when you're sleepy and hungry? I know how I feel. Agitated, aggravated, not in a good mood. And I'm not trying to hear anything you're trying to say. Because one, I want to sleep. And two, I want something to eat. So before you get on your students about not paying attention or why don't you want to learn this topic, check in with them. Ask them, are you okay? How was last night? Have you eaten today? Did you get some good sleep? Because maybe they just need a power nap. Maybe you had them for an hour, 30 minutes. For 30 minutes, you say, look, I'm going to let you sleep for 30 minutes so you can start feeling better. In 30 minutes, I'm going to wake you up. And when I wake you up, this is what I expect from you. I expect you to be ready to learn and to do your work. And a lot of students going to be like, okay, cool. I'm about to sleep for 30 minutes. Let them sleep. Sometimes you have to sacrifice that little time just so the student can reset themselves and be ready to learn. If students' basic needs are not met, you're not competing against TikTok or the short attention span. You're competing against survival. You have to ensure that your classroom feels safe enough for the students to want to thrive and that their basic needs are met. I know you might be saying, I'm not their parent. It's not my responsibility to make sure they're fed. You're right, it's not. But if you don't care about your students' basic needs, they're not going to be successful at all. And at the end of the day, your focus should be about the students and what you can do to help them be successful. So after you make sure that the students' basic needs are met when building relationships with them, the next thing you have to do is leave your ego at the door. If your self-esteem depends on middle schoolers' approval, I have terrible news for you. Terrible. Because one thing I can tell you about kids, they're going to say how they feel and they're good at humbling you. So a good way to work on those things and not let it be about you, because more than likely it's not about you. Maybe I didn't sleep last night, so anybody coming to me, they're going to get this attitude. I know a lot of students are like, I hate this class. And I be like, sometimes me too. But we're going to work it out. We're going to work on us not hating this class. I'm not mad that you said you hate my class. I'm trying to make light of the situation for us to be like, hey, it's okay if you hate this class. Maybe one day you won't. If I'm up there teaching or I ask a student to do something, they roll their eyes. I just be like, okay, now, I'm certified in teaching, not helping you when your eyes get stuck at the back of your head. Not taking that eye roll personal, because it's not about me. I don't know why they rolling their eyes. If I had a student that refused to work on day one, I'm like, okay, you don't want to do your work? Fine. I'm going to go around and help the students who want to work today. Day two, you don't want to do your work? I'm going to ask you, what's going on? Why don't you want to work? They could be like, because I don't want to. Okay, cool. Day three, they still refusing to work. Hey, if you don't do some work, I'm going to call home. I gave you grace the first 2 days. Maybe you didn't get enough sleep. Maybe you were just in a bad mood. Okay, I'm going to give you some grace. But day three, now we're about to really get into why you're not working. Because I need you to work in order to be successful. I don't want to attack the student and be like, you're just lazy. You don't want to do work. No, I want to attack the behavior. The behavior is refusing to do work. I need to figure out why you're refusing to do work. So just ask a couple questions. Did you eat today? How did you sleep? Did something happen? A lot of times, especially with middle schoolers, something happened in PE before they got to your class, and they're still mad about it. So they don't want to work. Every time they leave PE, they're mad. Maybe they always lose their dodgeball. I don't know, and I won't know unless I genuinely ask the student what's going on. Maybe there's something we can do. Maybe we need to go outside and just take some deep breaths and calm down, and then we can come in here and focus on math. You don't know until you care enough to ask the student what's going on. Don't attack the student, attack the behavior. The next thing with building a relationship with students, you have to mean what you say. If I say I'm gonna call home today, call home today. Don't just say that to students and not follow through. Because one thing I learned when I was a child, if my parents said when I got home I was gonna be in trouble, I guarantee you, when I got home, I was in trouble. So I never had to try to call their bluff because my parents didn't bluff. So as a teacher, I was the same way. If I said I'm gonna call you a parent, even if I was about to walk out the door and it just hit me just like that, I'm gonna put my bag down, I'm gonna call you a parent. Because I want to be the one that you say, oh no, if she says she gonna call home, she gonna call home. If she said tomorrow you're getting a new assigned seat because you don't know how to act, you're getting a new assigned seat. Say what you mean and mean what you say. By doing that, it gives you credibility with the student. They know what to predict. They know that if she says she's gonna do something, she's gonna do it. She's predictable, and it helps them feel safe in your room. Because you're not like, oh, she said she was gonna do this today, but she ain't do it. So I don't know if she gonna do it or not. So why not act up? She may call home, she may not. I'll take my chances. But if I know if I act up, she's gonna call home, the chances of me acting up, that percentage drops drastically. Because she gonna call home. So do I want to get in trouble today or not? And in order for her not to call home, I'm gonna correct my behavior because she means what she says. And you want the students to trust you so that they feel safe. And trust is built through consistency. So if I consistently do what I said I'm gonna do, the students know what to expect. Now, granted, you may say I'm gonna call home, you call home, and the behavior doesn't change. Fine. Sometimes calling home does not work. So now I need to figure out what could work. I know that he plays basketball and he loves basketball. I can go talk to the basketball coach. So now I can say, you act up today, I'm just gonna tell your coach. And any of those students who are in athletics, they do not want to get in trouble. Find out what works for that student. Maybe home is not the answer. But first, I'm going to try to call home and see if I can get some response. And if not, then I start putting in different things in play until I figure out what works for that student. The goal is not to install fear in the students. The goal is to install trust in the students. Then they trust what's going on, I'm predictable, and they feel safe. I'm meeting those basic needs. This fourth one is very dear to my heart. You have to teach the students what respect looks like for you. I always hear teachers saying, I'm writing them up because they're being disrespectful. What does respect mean to you? I knew what respect meant at my house, but I can go to my friend's house and they didn't say yes, ma'am, to their parents. Me, at my house, I'm a Southern girl. We said yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Yes, sir, no, sir. That was the only acceptable response. But sometimes I go to my friend's house and their parents didn't require that. And if I will say yes, ma'am, they're like, oh, don't call me ma'am. I don't want to feel, oh, you don't have to say yes, ma'am. Well, I would have never known that until they said something. That yes was an acceptable response at their house. So same thing in a classroom. You have to teach the students what respect looks like to you. So after I teach it to you and I model it and I give you examples, now I can tell you you're being disrespectful and you know why I'm saying you're being disrespectful. So let me give you what I would do in my classroom. Day one, I would tell the students, this is what respect looks like in my classroom. There's 3 things I needed to feel respected. First one, when you respond to me, you could either say yes, no, or yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. What you cannot say to me is yeah, huh, whatever. Those responses were deemed disrespectful. Second thing, I told the students, do not yell at me. I know personally, I do not like to be yelled at. When people yell at me, it makes me anxious and it puts me in defense mode. So you start yelling, now I feel like I gotta meet your energy. And I never wanna feel like that. And I don't want the students to feel like that. So I tell them, do not yell at me. If you feel like you're gonna yell, I'd rather you not respond. I'd rather you ask, can I step outside the classroom and calm down? Communicate that with me because you know that you're about to start yelling. And we're not gonna yell in my classroom. I didn't yell at students. Now granted, my voice carries. I can speak really loud. You could probably hear me down a football field. I get that projection from my father. But as far as yelling at a student or getting in a student's face and get to yelling at them and pointing the finger, I was not gonna do that. Because if somebody did that to me, that would be deemed disrespectful. And the third thing I told them, do not talk when I am talking. I was not the teacher who got up there and just talked all class and just kept talking and just talked about random things. I talked about what was important and I stopped talking. So I told them 99.9% of the time when I'm opening my mouth, it's important. And if in order for you to listen to what's coming out of my mouth, I need you to close your mouth. Don't talk while I'm talking. I only needed those 3 things. So after I told the students that, the next day I will practice it. What are the 3 things that I need to feel respected in my classroom? And we'll go over it. And why I needed those things. And then when situations came up, Say they was just, I called them and they said, huh? Or what you want? I would tell them, hey, that's disrespectful. You know your 4 options for responses. Pick one. Or something happens and they get to yelling. I say, oh, no, we don't yell in this classroom. That's disrespectful. I reminded them. Give them a chance to correct their behavior. And a lot of times, after you set the guidelines and you go back and you remind them why that's disrespectful, a lot of my students be like, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. I apologize. I shouldn't have yelled. Do you mind if I step outside the classroom? I'm really hot right now. And students will communicate that to you when you give them a chance to do so and you let them feel safe in your classroom. To know it's okay to go calm down. Then we can talk about it. Or if I'm up there teaching and you're talking and I get on to you and I tell you that's disrespectful because what? You don't talk when I talk. I'm reinforcing what I want to see and I'm letting you know why I do not like that behavior. And then the students will self-correct. It's very simple, but the students have to know what respect looks like in your classroom. You can't say, they're in 10th grade, they should know how to behave in a classroom. Maybe the other classrooms, it's acceptable, but in your classroom, it's not. And how would they know what's acceptable unless you tell them, you reinforce it, and you always stick to it? Don't just say that it's not okay to yell in my classroom, then 3 weeks later, they yell in your classroom and you don't address it. You have to be consistent. Know what you want. Know how you want it to look. Show the students. Tell the students how you want it to look. And stay on top of it. That's the only way. By May, you're not getting on students about yelling in your classroom. You're not getting on students about talking when you're talking. You're not getting on the students about saying, what do you want when I call your name? Because I have set those expectations. I have stayed consistent with those expectations. You know what's acceptable. And your behavior reflects that. Does it take time? Definitely. It takes about, I want to say about 3 months for me to get to students to do what I want them to do as far as the category of respect. And then eventually the students start checking each other. Hey, you know, in her classroom, you can't do that. You can't say yeah. You know, you can either say yes or yes, ma'am. Or in her classroom, we don't yell. Calm down. Why are you so loud? Bring your voice level down. We don't yell in here. So then they hold each other accountable. And now we're all on the same page. Now, power struggles. When you're trying to build a relationship with your students, you have to avoid power struggles. And a good way to avoid power struggles is to give students options. My first year, I knew what a power struggle was, but I didn't know how bad it could be with a student. I didn't experience that. Because when I did student teaching, the teacher that was ahead of me always dealt with those situations. I didn't have to deal with those situations. But my first year teaching, and if you ever want to know what happened my first year teaching, you can check out this video right here. But my first year teaching, I got into a lot of power struggles. So for example, I started off teaching elementary. And for elementary, we had snack time. And at the end of the snack time, I told the students what the expectations were. When snack time is over, you put your snack away in your backpack and I don't see it again. If I see your snack again, I'm going to confiscate your snack. So I guess one student wanted to see what I was about. So we supposed to put snacks away. Next thing I know, I see him eating his sunflower seeds. I'm like, such and such, put your snack away or I'm going to throw it away. He was like, gave me a little face, whatever. He put it away for that moment. I go do something else. Come back, he's still eating those sunflower seeds. So I said, let me get your snack. I took the snack. I walked over there and I dumped them in a trash can. Not only did I dump them, I poured them out to make sure he didn't get it out. And really, on my part, that was mad disrespectful. But you wasn't doing what I wanted you to do. And at that time, that's the only tools I had in my toolbox to fix that situation. So later on, I get a call on the school phone from his mom. And she was like, you made my child throw his snack away. You don't pay for his snack. And I'm like, you're right, ma'am. I don't pay for his snack. However, the students know that at the end of snack time, the expectations is for you to put your snack away and not pull it back out. And she was like, well, you didn't tell me that this is what you're supposed to do with snack. He just said that you took his snack and you threw it away and you poured them into the trash can. I said, that's true, but these are the expectations. He did not follow my expectations. She says, well, you know what? He was wrong because he knew what was expected of him and he decided to be sneaky anyway. Granted, it took a minute for the parent to calm down and to understand what was going on. And then I felt bad at the end of the day because I could have did something else than threw his snack away, which I learned later. So I started giving students choices. So the next time I ran into that situation, I told the student, you can either put your snack in your backpack, zip it up, and I don't see it again, or you can throw it away. I gave them choices that I would be okay with. Most students are going to decide to put them in their backpack, zip it up, and I don't see it again. But instead of getting to this struggle about, oh, I'm going to show that I'm a big bad teacher, I'm going to take your snack and pour it into the trash can. No, here's your options that I'm okay with. Either zip it up and I don't see it again, or throw it away. So now the students feel like they have some type of control over the situation. She gave me two choices. I'm going to pick which one I feel is best. But I give them choices that I'm okay with. Therefore, we're not getting a power struggle. I'm not making that choice for you. You're going to make the choice. You either have this or you have that. And then we're going to move forward. I'm not arguing with you about a snack. So choices gives the students ownership, and power struggles create battles. And I don't have time to be battling with a 10-year-old. I don't have time for that. And when you're in power struggles, nobody wins. It's just a lot of wasted energy. So keep in mind, these kids want to be treated as adults. So I'm going to give you choices like an adult would have choices. But they're still kids. No matter how they behave or how they want to talk crazy or do whatever, they're still kids. And you have to keep in your mind that this is a kid and I'm going to treat you as such. I'm going to give you these options, help you make decisions, because in life you're going to have to make decisions. Make sure I'm okay with those two choices and I'm going to move on. I'm not going to sit there, yell at the kid, keep going on and on until now they're acting crazy or they're yelling at me and I'm flipping desk and I'm calling admin saying, I don't know why they're acting that way. When they're acting that way because I engaged into a power struggle, and we're not going to do that. We want to keep all our energy. We want to make sure that we're not tired at the end of the day. So we're going to give students choices, let them make choices and not make the choice for them. A big part of building relationships with students, you have to get to know your students. And I've heard teachers say, well, I need to care about what they care about. All I want to do is teach them and go home. Well, it's not that simple. You have to get to know your students. You have to get to know the why behind their behavior. I had a student who liked these little figurines. They were like little soldiers. He would come in, take all his figurines on and put them on his desk. And this student had another teacher who would follow him around. She would tell me like, okay, well, he does this in every classroom. We usually get into a struggle about him putting these up and it becomes a whole thing. So I wanted to observe the student. I wanted to see what he would do with these figurines. He also did not like to do math. So I would say, okay, such and such, it's time to put your figurines up and do your work. Oh, why I do that for? Whole meltdown. So I went back to my drawing board. What can I do to get this student to do work and not go into a power struggle? So then I would say, such and such, I'm going to set a timer. When this timer's up, you have to stop playing with these figurines and you have to do your work. You can leave them on your desk. I don't care. It's not going to be an issue. You can leave them on your desk, but you're going to do this work. And he also had accommodations to use a calculator. I did that one day and he did work for a little bit. Okay, cool. When the bell runs, he got his figurines, put them on in his backpack. The next day he came in, took all the figurines out. He playing with the figurines. Such and such, you got 5 minutes to play with your figurines, and then I need you to do your work. If you do 5 problems, then I'll give you 5 more minutes with your figurines. And that right there started to work. We'll do the timer, he'll play with those figurines, he'll do his 5 problems, he'll play with the figurines. Then he'll do 5 more problems. And then eventually, he was getting his work done. We didn't have to argue about these figurines. Was it fair? For him, that was equity. It didn't matter what the other students were doing. He needed those figurines. Those figurines made him feel safe. And I didn't want to get rid of the figurines. Now, the lady who would follow him around was like, he doesn't do any other work in anybody else's class. Yes, because he needs those figurines. That's what he needs to feel safe. That's what he needs to feel comfortable. And I figured out that, hey, let him keep him on his desk. And then eventually, I would go and ask him about him. Like, what's this one name? And why these two always fighting this one? And he would look at me like, why you care? I would bend down by his desk and just ask him when they're doing independent work. I'll go check in with him today. Like, oh, when I knew the name of the figurines and such, okay? Is he losing the battle? Made their relationship with him. Some days he would come in, pull out his calculator, he'll do the whole worksheet. And then he'll get to playing with his finger rings. And we had to understand it. We didn't have to talk about it. He didn't communicate a lot unless talking directly to him. But we had an understanding. And then I remember one day, he was having a real hard time in LA. Well, language arts, LA. So he was having a real hard time. And they came and got me. Was like, hey, can you come talk to such and such? We heard that he behaves in your classroom, this and that. I went down to the classroom, knelt down on his desk and say, hey, what's going on? What's the problem? Okay, well, this is what we're going to do. And I told the teacher, hey, you're going to have to let him play with these figurines. You're going to have to give him a timer, let him play with it. And then he said he'll work for you. But he needs to do whatever his battle is. He needs to go ahead and battle these figurines out. He couldn't move past doing the little battle before he did his work. But I was able to talk to him, calm him down, because we had that relationship. We understood each other, and he felt safe with me. So build those relationships with your students. Get to know them. Learn the why behind why they won't do their work. Why they come in your classroom and act a plumb fool. Know the why behind the behavior. And I promise you, once you know the why, you can start figuring out what can I do to fix that behavior. And then they'll start working. Build those relationships with your students. Get to know your students. Your students are going to work harder for you when they realize that you genuinely care about them. And another thing, other than when you get to know the student's name. Do not give them a nickname because you cannot pronounce their name. Ask them their name. Ask them to pronounce it slowly. Ask them to correct you every time you say their name wrong. My name is important to me. My mother gave me that name for a reason. And you're going to call me by my name. And you're going to say my name correctly. And you're going to spell it correctly. Because if you don't, I'm going to correct you. Always been like that. So no matter how hard you think a student's name is, ask them what their name is. And ask them, hey, if I say your name incorrectly, please correct me. I don't care how long it takes you to say it correctly. You will get more points for trying to say that student's name correctly than not. And I would tell them all the time, don't go to these other teachers and let them pronounce your name wrong. If you want your name pronounced Cesar, and they're saying Caesar, correct them. Be like, ma'am, my name is Cesar. I would like to be called Cesar. My mother named me Cesar. I want to be called Cesar. And I would reinforce that with my students all the time. Correct me when I say your name wrong, and correct other people. Your name is important. You had this name this long, you're going to have the name for the rest of your life unless you change it. It is important for people to say your name correctly, spell your name correctly. And just like getting to know your students, it is very important to let your students get to know you. When we start the school year, one of the first things I do is I will show pictures of my family. I will give them just random details about myself that I wanted them to know. When I was teaching, I would change my hair a lot. And if you've been watching me for a while, you will see I change my hair a lot. I get bored quickly with hairstyles and I change my hair. I realized after a couple years teaching, I needed to let my students know that I changed my hair a lot. Before letting them know that, they were always like, why your hair always different? You always have something different done in your hair. And it would like shock them because it wasn't predictable for them. So I would let them know, hey, you're going to see me with different hairstyles. I don't want you to be alarmed or think I'm a different person. And in my PowerPoint, I will show them me with different hairstyles. So they'll know, hey, I cannot just know this teacher because of her hair. I need to find some other way to recognize her because her hair is going to be different. Let them know little things about you. What's your favorite candy? Maybe what you like to do on your spare time. Let them know that you go to the grocery store. Maybe what's your favorite grocery store? I remember one time I had a student, probably like August, September. And I saw her in the grocery store and I waved because I'm like, I know you, you're my student. And she just looked at me and kept going. And so the next day I said, why didn't you speak back? She says, I was just shocked that you was in the grocery store. I didn't know how to respond. Kids think that you belong in that classroom and that's all you do. You need to let the students know that you are a person outside of school. I'm not telling you to tell them all your business. Tell them where you live at, what type of car you drive. You don't have to go like that. But you could tell them just a few things just to let them know that you're a person. So just like you should get to know your students, the students need to know that you're a real person. You have real feelings. And they need to know who you are and cool things about you so they can make you a person and not just a teacher. If they just think you're a teacher, you don't have feelings, you don't go anywhere, you don't do anything. But when they know that you're a person, it gives them more of a connection. I can relate to you. You like to shop at Kroger, so does my mom. Or your favorite color is purple, and so is my cousin's. So now I'm making a connection, and you're becoming a weird person, and I'm going to treat you as such. And then finally, when building relationships with students, their student needs to know that every day is a new day. Now, this is hard to learn. Say that JB came in my classroom acting a plump fool yesterday. I got nothing done. I couldn't teach because I was dealing with his behavior, taking him outside, talking to him, bringing him back in. He's still acting up, still disrupting my class. But then tomorrow, I'm going to stand at that door. Good morning, JB. Hope today's going to be a good day. Let him in. I'm not going to say, ugh, or roll my eyes when he walks in. Every day is a new day because I don't know why JB was acting a fool yesterday. Maybe he got in trouble and he's on punishment at home. So now he's just mad at everybody. But then the next day he comes in, everything's good, I'm going to behave. Every day should be a new day for the students, no matter how they behave. You have to forgive them. They're kids. Everything's not developed up here, okay? Their decision making is not the best sometimes. Let the students have a new chance every single day. Kids are going to make mistakes just like adults do. All you can do is be there and help them correct those mistakes, let them know why it is a mistake and what they could do better. Or you came in today and you decided to throw your backpack everywhere, start yelling this and that. When they calm down, hey, what could we have done differently? And let them tell you what they could have done differently. You don't have to tell them, you could have done this, you could have done that. Kids know what I could have done to make sure that didn't happen. But make sure they calm down first. Nobody hears you when they're angry. If I'm upset and I'm mad, I don't care what you're talking about. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you're right or not. I'm mad. And I'm going to be mad until I calm down. Once I calm down, then we can have a conversation. And we can see what's the problem and how we're going to solve said problem. Same thing with students. If they're elevated, wait till they calm down. See what we could have done differently to make that not happen, and then tomorrow's gonna be a new day. If you don't remember anything else from this video, remember relationships can be hard to build, but it's worth it. Students may not remember what you taught them, but they will remember how you made them feel. I don't know what I learned in 3rd grade, but one thing I can tell you is I love my 3rd grade teacher. I know how she made me feel in her classroom. And when students feel valued, respected, and cared for, amazing things can happen in the classroom. And one thing I felt that could have made me a better teacher quicker was if I reflected on my day every single day and wrote down what worked for me. I was just going through the motions and figuring it out as I went. But if I took what I learned the previous year and had it written down, then I wouldn't have to worry about learning those same lessons again the next year. And since I've stopped teaching, I've had time to sit down and sit with these type of things and create things for teachers that I feel will help you become a better teacher for the next week or for the next school year. So I do have a 9 weeks reflection journal that you can reflect on how you feel that day, what went well, what didn't, what I could do to make it better. And at the end of the week, what all went well, what did I do to make my life easier? If you're interested in that journal, you can check my website and look and see if that will be helpful to you. I taught 11 years. I learned a lot over the 11 years. And one thing I can say I was excellent at was classroom management because I knew how to build those relationships with students. I do offer one-on-one coaching for teachers to help you with building relationships, help you with communicating with parents, or help you organize your teaching life. If you're interested in that, they can also be found on my website. The strongest teachers aren't the ones who always have all the answers. They're the ones who continue learning, growing, and reflecting. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video. If this video helped you, please subscribe. Make sure you like this video, share it with another teacher that it could help. And you already know. Until next time.